We have another question from Mitch. What are the pros and cons of working as a creative employee in a digital ad agency versus working as a freelancer? VA for a coach or social media manager, what do you think are the motivations of those who choose one over the other? Asking from a point of view of a career shifter who had been an employee in a BPO for more than 10 years. Wow.
Well, I would like to answer this question in the sense that is it better to be an employee or to be a freelancer? And I believe that it really depends on your preference. Find the option where you will have the most self fulfillment, where you feel that you can grow better as a person. When it comes to being an employee, of course, one of the advantages of being an employee is you have an access to a network because you have your office mates, you have your bosses, you have your clients, etc. And you also have the opportunity to learn. It really depends on the ad agency, but of course, your company will usually provide trainings. Your company will usually send you out to events, conventions, conferences where there is an opportunity to learn a lot. When you are working as a freelancer, you are more self-directed. So if you're the type of person who wants to be independent when it comes to directing your career, then it would be that's an advantage of being a freelancer. And of course, being a freelancer is the first step towards becoming a solopreneur and then being an entrepreneur. I've met a lot of freelancers who, after working for a couple of years, they eventually put up their own agency. So they're now managing their own set or roster of freelancers and they are running the business. If I will choose, I would tell them to work as an employee first in a digital ad agency because it's a great experience to see how an agency works. And then if you feel that you want to put up your own agency or you want to become a freelancer, then that's the time that you go towards that path. There's really some value in working as an employee. I myself remember there are a lot of lessons that I've learned that I still apply today that I learned when I was still working as an engineer in an office. So those are really valuable things that you can take if ever you go to becoming a business owner.
Completely agree with Fitz that you have to first get as much as you can and learn as much as you can before starting out on your own, because starting out on your own is not as easy as it looks and sounds, especially with the glorified startup scene that we have all over the world right now. Na, no, follow your heart with passion, go do your own thing. It's not as easy as it looks, and I know a lot of people who have been burned and nawala na sila ng gana, or they're now fearful or afraid to do it again because they jumped before the ship was there to catch them, and so they hit the mud, and it's difficult that way. So get as much as you can and choose your leaders. Go to a company where the leadership is really good, because whatever it is that you plan to start up someday, if you know leadership well, if you're able to practice it well, I believe that increases your chances of success by 1,000-fold. Those are some of the pieces of advice that I'm going to give you. It's not a matter of pros and cons. It's difficult to just say here are the pros, here are the cons. There's a lot of going ons in between that you have to also consider. We have a question from Mitch. This is regarding Gallup strengths. What advice can you give to someone whose top 5 strengths fall under the relationship building domain? 4 out of 5, wow. And yet does not have strong networking and relationship building skills due to lack of self-confidence. Any advice on how they can build and sustain connections or trust with strangers or existing contacts? I'm not a certified Gallup coach, by the way, but I have gone through it numerous times because I do it for my team in SEO Hacker. Those are the strengths you use to dealing with people, to communicating with others, to finishing your work. Those are the strengths you tap into. It doesn't mean you're better at them compared to other people. It doesn't mean that you're also the same yung least strengths mo. It doesn't mean you're weaker than other people in those areas. It just means that these are the strengths you tap into the most. So when you want something done, you use relationships. Now, in terms of your self-confidence, self-confidence comes from self awareness. Okay? Let me repeat that. Self confidence comes from self awareness. If you are not completely aware of who you are as a person, your weaknesses, the things you need to change about yourself, your strengths, what people love about you, if you're not aware of those, you will not be confident. It doesn't come from whether you don't like your physical shape or you don't like how you look in the mirror. It doesn't really come from that, because I know a lot of people who might not be what society would say is sexy or beautiful or handsome, but they're super duper confident because they're aware of who they are. They're aware of their weaknesses, they're aware of their strengths, they're even aware of how they look, they're even aware of how they dress, and they embrace that. That's where self-confidence come from. So how do you generate this awareness? Take time to pause 30 minutes a day, think about it. Who you are. Who do people say you are? What are the things that you struggle with? Ask people who know you the most, your family. Hey, what is it like living on the other side of me? What is it like living with me in the same roof? They'll tell you. And if you can accept that and do something about it, I guarantee your confidence will grow. Once that grows, now you can deal with people better. And usually how I open conversations naman in networking is are simple words like having a good time, or just ask some friendly questions. Are you having a good time, or cool party or cool event, right? Or are you learning something new? Something like that. You just throw a question and they respond, and you just keep on asking questions. Is actually how I network. Much like how we're doing it now, where I throw the question to Fitz, he answers, I stem from that. That's pretty much how I do it. What's your take on this, Fitz?
I think she's asking how to build a strong networking and how do you build relationships, sustain connection and trust with strangers. I think the best way to learn that is to do it. In today's times, I would say, especially during the pandemic, I got the most connection from Facebook groups. I think she can ask herself, what are my passions? What are my interests? What are my hobbies? And then find forums, find Facebook groups where you can interact. So, as simple as having a conversation on the comment section would be something that can be a learning experience. It doesn't really have to be connected with her profession or her business. Even if you are able to watch a movie and then you liked it, you can probably go to Reddit and find a Reddit thread that discusses that movie. So having this simple conversation will help you read other people better, help you how to interact with them better. So I would say do that. And if she's an iPhone user, I would say try to install Clubhouse. I find that very good for the past week, no? A very good way to connect with other people. A lot of conversations are happening there, so that's an extra bonus for you. You'll be able to practice expressing your thoughts better in front of other strangers. So, yeah, just go out and meet people, network people. If you're not feeling confident about yourself, you can just try and see that most of your worries are just in your head. There are a lot of people who are excited and willing to hear about your stories, about your thoughts. So, yeah, that's my take on that.
I haven't tried it, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. I'm not really sure how it's much different from Discord, which is another voice platform, a voice community platform. But I guess it's because a lot of people are on Clubhouse. Oh, I'm wondering, and maybe you can answer this question: is what makes it so attractive now? Why are people going there?
I guess it has a low barrier for entry. All you need is an invite. So, of course, the invites are is just one way for them to create some premium value for having an account there. But there are a lot of websites that offer their invites for free. So if you have an iOS device, you can definitely just sign up. So from my experience, someone just sent me a link. I clicked the link. I installed the app, and then once I open the app, I'm already inside there. I can already see all the clubhouse or the rooms that I can go into inside.
Mhm.
So unlike Discord, like you need to have that Discord link. to be able to join the server, and then the user interface isn't as friendly. But
Mhm.
I guess that's the reason why Clubhouse really took off. Once you're inside the app, it's just a matter of looking for a room of interest. For example, I am into podcasting, so I just search podcast, and I see all these people discussing about how to grow a podcast, how do you monetize a podcast, and just click the room and you're inside and you can hear people already talking. If you want to talk, you just have to raise your hands, and when the moderator acknowledges you, then you can just speak your mind. So it's really very easy to use, very intuitive. The interface is very intuitive. So, and there are a lot of interesting people there. I've actually, a couple of days ago, I've found a room where, I don't know if you know Guy Kawasaki.
Yeah.
He was doing an AMA there, and it was really an interesting. I spent around
Wow.
2 hours just listening. So a lot of people are saying that Clubhouse is just like listening to a podcast, because there's an option not to talk or not to interact at all, just listen to the conversation. So I know a lot of people are interchanging listening to podcast and also listening to Clubhouse conversation. So yeah, it's really very easy to use. That's why it's been catching a lot of attention these days.
So that's it, guys. Thank you for being here. And Fitz, thank you. It's been an honor. It's been an honor doing this with you tonight.
Thank you also for inviting me. Yeah, I enjoyed what we did. I enjoyed our conversation today. And thank you to everyone who listened. I hope I was able to share valuable information.
And guys, the 80% podcast by Fitz Villafuerte. Here it is. If you want to learn more about personal finance, you want to learn more about the 10 money smart tips for single people. This is interesting. So just check it out. Over 100 episodes have been published here, and the episodes are from 6 minutes to an hour long. So that's a varying degree of length there. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much, Fitz. Thank you so much, everyone.
We always have a choice. You know, sometimes people will say, well, I didn't really have a choice. My hands were tied. I was stuck. And I get that. But whether you're in a marriage, a business, a relationship, a country, a city, we always have choices to do something else. We may choose not to because it's too overwhelming. We may choose not to because we feel others have more power over us than we have. But what I have found is there's always a way if you want to change your life. There's always a way.